Sean Capri, and welcome to We the Gamercast. It publishes on podcasts and youtube.com/YumiCapri every single Monday. Patrons get it first. Thank you guys for subscribing, hitting the like button, leaving a comment. I'm feeling pretty good about that. Hey, sometime, like lately, he hasn't quite hit like that good. I don't know what happened, man. I'm feeling good. Hopefully you guys are great. I am. We're ready to go, man. Let's see. What do we want to do first? If you're new, here's the deal. Every week I have sweet hangs with a stranger, or in this case, a friend from the internet. We talk about life and video games. And if you want to be on the show, if you just want to tweet at me, you can go ahead and do that at Sean Capri. Sean like Connery, Capri like the pants. Weeks remain, you guys. Weeks remain. Oh my gosh, I just got a notification that Link fell asleep a couple of moments ago. I thought I was in the clear. It looks like he fell asleep a little early. So there you go. Just as I get my scream, hopefully he can go back to bed. He's a good sleep. We're very lucky. Lincoln is a very good sleeper, but I'm jinxing myself even more. Hopefully you guys are doing good. I've got lots to talk about before we get into my chat with the Josh Borboni from PSVG and the Board with Video Games podcast. All the links are there in the show notes for you guys to check out. Lots to talk about, man, as we turn the corner. As you guys listen to this, we're damn near a month away from Christmas if you celebrate, gift giving time if you celebrate, whatever it is. At least for me, we're there. And also Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving in advance. Happy early Thanksgiving to my American brethren. Hopefully it's okay. I'm gonna go ahead and adopt this. I don't know that we're not gonna do any like turkey or anything. I just like that it's like the official kickoff to Christmas and to the holiday season. That's where I'm at, man. I'm a little, I gotta say, I'm a little out of breath because I've been letting myself go a little bit lately. We've been celebrating my daughter's third birthday over the last like 8 days or so. And there's a lot of cake around. There's a lot of cookies around. There's not a lot of activity around. But you know what, man? I'm just letting myself be okay with it. I think I don't know if I said this last week or if it was just on the Pants podcast. I'm just trying to be kind to myself. I know I'll get back on it, man. It's okay. I've got my sweatpants to carry me through. And honestly, like life is good. I've been dealing with some headaches, and as I crack my neck a little bit just to try and help that. I don't know if that's good or bad. That's got to be not good, right? That I need to like crack my neck to kind of like loosen things up a little bit. I need to stretch a little bit more. I need the activity. I'm kind of a wuss, but I also feel like it's a good thing. This is me putting my Sally Sunshine spin on things, that I get like sore and my body breaks down really quickly, but it's actually like a nice sign that like maybe you take better care of yourself before things get really out of hand. So there's that. Kind of like back in the day when I was smoking the cigarettes. I was like, I couldn't get up a flight of stairs, so I had to quit. Because I couldn't not breathe at the top of the stairs. So, get rid of that, save all the money, and I got healthy. So there you go. What do I want to talk to you guys about? I just submitted, this is a big deal. I hit a big milestone, a big, deliverable in the family. I submitted my Christmas wish list to the family, by email. And now all those items are off my list. I cannot be buying anything that I have sent. I can't go, cause like that can't be good. You ask for all these things and, then you go buy them for yourself. So that's where we're at. I'm locked in. There are certain things that I am not buying between now and Christmas. Maybe Boxing Day sale, maybe in Canada. The day after Christmas is Boxing Day for those of you guys who don't know. Is it the same in the UK? Is that the case? Is Boxing Day somewhere else? Is it a Commonwealth thing? Is it a Canada thing? I'm not sure. I feel like I probably ask that every single year. So yeah, those items are off the list. Now, I knew that this day was coming. And also, does it seem weird that like Black Friday started like 3 weeks early? It seems like we've had Black Friday sales for a long time. I'm loving on Twitter and on Discord and everything. Everybody's sharing what they're getting, sharing deals like Guardians of the Galaxy was half off. So I may have picked that up. I went and treated myself to a couple controllers, the Forza Horizon 5, beautiful Xbox controller, and the 20th anniversary controller. What else, man? Like too many things. These are all those, by the way, both of those would be excellent Christmas present. I was gonna say birthday, not my birthday. It's Jesus's birthday actually, and we all get the presents. So I thought like I don't want to miss out on it, especially like it seemed like they were limited in quantity. So I may pick myself up a couple treats if that's okay with you guys. So I'm all set. I've got a whole bunch of comics. I got a whole bunch of things on the wish list. So it's all very cool. And like I said, we kind of spent the last couple of days, really like 8 days, celebrating Ellie's 3rd birthday. The last step of that was actually what I just stepped away from for a moment ago. Chelsea put together, and I actually helped a little bit, but she did, as always, most of the work. But the kids each have like their own kind of A-frame tent, and they picked their favorite Pokemon that they wanted it themed after. So I think Ellie's is Squirtle and Lincoln's is Eevee. So we got a blue tent and a brown tent, and they're upstairs watching Chelsea play the new Pokemon game. Man, there's so much to tell here. I might actually leave that story, the Pokemon story. I might leave that for the Nintendo Drive. So how's that for a little like comic crossover? Like, okay, I'll give you a little teaser. You guys go check out the other podcast I do, the Nintendo Drive with the wonderful Console Kato. I'll tell that story on that end over there. Cause man, Pokemon taking over. I told you guys this was the year of Pokemon. We're here. We finally have it. I bought the Diamond Pearl. Damn it. We did both of them. What the hell am I even saying? Save that for the Nintendo Drive where Kato can at least keep me on track. Let's see. I think that's it. I think that's all I want to talk to you. Oh, we did it. I mean, this is embarrassing. We went to we rented out a pool for the family and some close friends to celebrate Ellie's birthday. And this is just me kind of like being kind to myself. I'm just embracing the dad bod. We've all got it. Whatever, man. And it was all good. It wasn't the end of the world. I was a little, to be honest with you, I was a little self-conscious about it. I was a little worried, but like, what am I to be worried about? It's my family. Who cares? So yeah. Got my biggest old swimming trunks, and the best part was Ellie and Lincoln and all the kids, everybody had an awesome time. And I really feel like I wanted to share it. I wanted to make a note of it because I don't know, man. I felt like I really even noticed in the moment. I'm like, I'm really enjoying myself. I'm really having a good time. There's a lot of things that could have just ruined that day for me because my brain is stupid. And I decided that, you know what, man, I'm seeing the smiles on the kids' faces. Everybody's having a good time. And everybody probably, I don't know if this is a fair thing to say. I bet everybody's probably feeling the same way, going to a swimming pool. You hit a certain age and you get a little self-conscious, or maybe not. In which case, I'm with you guys. If you're if you're just like, whatever, this is it. Love me or whatever. This is what I look like. So there you go. Nice little self-body love for the start of the podcast. I want to get into my chat with Josh Borboni, who I've wanted to have on this show for quite a long time. Actually, like even probably further back than 2019, but especially in 2019 when I first met him in real life at Extra Life in Rome, New York, where I just discovered like he actually reminds me of like a friend I had in, we call it junior high. I think many of you would call it middle school, like somewhere around like grade 8, grade 9. And he's just a lovable guy, man. I'm so glad that he's on the show. You can follow him on Twitter at Josh Bones, and he's dedicated himself twice to the Phoenix Overdrive team, along with many, many others. He was there just this last year, like a couple of weeks ago, and we're still sort of in this like celebration mode. I know Extra Life might be in the rear view mirror for a lot of you guys, but it was really special. I feel like it was just yesterday. And I wanted to have Josh on for a number of reasons, but also, and I'll get to this in the podcast, Josh gave me a very wonderful and very special gift in Rome, a box full of Overpower cards, which was a collectible card game featuring Marvel characters. This was really like this is what I was into big time when I was a kid. I wasn't really into comics. I saw all my other friends kind of getting into comics and stuff, but we collected cards, and this was I still have them. I still have all the cards that I had as a kid. And in recent years, I've kind of gone onto eBay and collected a little bit more. I'm almost done my full set. And then Josh shows up with a big old box of stuff, and I'll be damned, dude. Like, not even like a lot of stuff I really needed. So I think we get into it on the show. So please enjoy our conversation here. Please support Josh. Go follow him on Twitter, Josh Bones. Listen to his podcast, Bored with Video Games. I'll see you at the other end of this conversation. So here he is, Josh Borboni.
Yeah, I just updated to Windows 11, so everything is all wonky.
Ooh, do you like it, or do you want to go back?
I'll get used to it. They
Yeah,
really kind of messed with the feng shui of the toolbar for me, where it's all centered now.
I did it on my laptop, and I'm realizing I haven't done it on my PC yet. And I think I only did it on my laptop because it almost like made me like that notification was not going to go anywhere. I didn't know how to shut it off.
Yes,
it was just,
I know. Same thing every time.
I guess I'll update. But I'm just on my, it's on my, I wasn't even going to do it on my laptop. Cause this is actually like, this is my, primary podcasting device, actually, as it turns out. This is my Xbox Drive and PlayStation Drive studio. And I've got my desktop here, which I don't know if I even need. Like, if I was really smart, I would actually sell this thing and just run like this thing off of like a docking station or something.
Yeah.
But I also don't know how streaming will go now that I say that. Like, really, I've got like a podcast once a week and then a stream once a week that necessitates this PC that I've got. And I don't know if that really adds up, to be honest with you.
Do you game on your laptop or your PC?
No, neither.
Neither.
Yeah, not like before Series X came out, I was starting to game a little bit more on PC. Like I was playing games like Division and for at least a hot second, like a little bit of Destiny on PC because it was just that much, like there's 60 frames on both of those actually, and compared to the One X, even though it was the most powerful console ever made, like my measly 1070 Ti seemed to do a little better than that. But now here we are with the Series X, and it's like I don't know. It's just that much more comfortable too, and I like to sit in my old man chair, and just kind of sit back. We're getting into the point of the year where I'm completely out of shape and working too much, and my body's breaking down, and I just shoveled outside for an hour, and I'm just breaking.
Forward to that.
Yeah, we just got it all at once. We got the snow warning on all the apps. It was like, heads up, even for us, this is a lot. So be forewarned.
But how much did you end up getting?
I don't know, man. I was sitting around like probably, let me see. Like, I don't know what the technical measurement was, but like it was almost up to my knees, like
really?
on the driveway. And I left it just like, I'm like, I don't want to shovel and then just wake up and get over and realize I've got to shovel more in the morning. So I'll just shovel everything tomorrow, and which is today now. And that was a mistake. I couldn't even lift it, man. Like it was so heavy and just terrible.
Yeah, I'm not looking forward to that at all. But
it gives us something to do as husbands of the house. At least I can contribute to that. Can't do anything else. I'm useless on everything else. At least I can do that.
I always have to run home from shoveling at work to come home and shovel at home.
Oh my gosh, yeah. You shovel at work? What do you mean?
Well, we have to do all snow removal at the schools, so.
Oh, really?
I'll be outside snow blowing and shoveling steps and stuff like that. So.
I need a snowblower. I don't even have like a big driveway, and I'm like, there's a couple people on the block. They've got snowblowers. And I'm like, oh, that's a good idea. Can I just like borrow that?
We have a small driveway too, but sometimes knowing.
Yeah.
Like
there's a better way.
Like the type of guy who's like, I prefer to do it physically because I feel like I'm getting something accomplished.
Yeah.
And now I'm just to the point where I'm like, no, it's okay.
Yeah.
Let's get this snowblower out.
I'm okay without that intrinsic reward.
Yeah. I don't need to feel important anymore. I just need to get it done.
Yeah. No kidding. It's so true. Or like, oh, I like to think that I'm getting some sort of like workout out of it. But I don't know. I don't know. It seems more like I feel like now that I shovel snow, I'm just like one lift away from, a serious injury. Like I look at it more like a risk more than anything.
Waiting for that your back to get pulled and then you fall down in the snow and no one can find you for an hour.
These are the things like when we say like we're getting older, it's like those are the things that really we're talking about.
Yeah.
And the winter months are like pretty. It's amazing that I live here. Because like the winter months are brutal, man. Like it's pitch black at 4:30 in the afternoon.
Yeah,
like we get like 6 hours of sunlight.
We're pushing that now too. Yeah,
yeah. It's like that. What was that? Was it Josh Hartnett? I think was in a movie about
30 Days. Right.
Yes. Oh, of course. You're the person I should be talking to about this sort of thing. Yeah, man. That was a great movie.
Or if you haven't seen it, Insomnia with Robin Williams and
Not Forever.
Wow, Scarface, Al Pacino. That really focuses on the 24 hours of nighttime and daytime stuff.
We should do something like that and tie that into the extra life stuff that we do. Like we should have some sort of like 24-hour, like we just kind of like play games, but there's got to be something that we could, I don't know, some sort of.
We can fly to Alaska and do it.
That's true.
We just got to pick whether we want sun or darkness for.
That's true. We could fly to Alaska. Yeah. We'll not only do 24 hours of game. I mean, like we wouldn't know the difference anyways. The one thing that would happen is, remember that point in time in the day where like the sun was just like terrible for us? It was coming through the window and they couldn't put the shades down or anything. It's like, we wouldn't have to deal with that. Nobody likes the sun.
Yeah.
We just want to. Mr. Burns blocked it out anyways. We should just get rid of it.
Yeah, just gotta put blackout on the windows.
Why did he? Exactly. We'll bring paint next time.
Yeah.
How did you do after it was all said and done? Like you and Kevin are like, you guys seem pretty steady throughout the 24 hours, but like, I don't know about you, and maybe it was traveling back home, but I felt like pretty wrecked, to be honest with you, after that.
We traveled back. It was rough.
Yeah, you drove
at first for both of us, and then we stopped at a rest stop, and then and Kevin didn't want to hand over the steering wheel, and Kevin had a rougher drive.
Yeah.
And it really was rough on me because I kept worrying about Kevin falling asleep. But
they got the wheel.
I really caught like another wind.
Yeah.
And then knowing when I came home that my wife works 12-hour shifts on Sunday, so knowing when I came home it was just going to be me and my son, I knew like I had to just get. And then I recorded my podcast at 8 p.m. that night.
Josh, what the heck?
I know, but I had Monday off, but also it was just me and my son Monday, so I didn't really have it off. I just pushed through. I kind of got my, like, I described it as my like fifth wind before recording the podcast. Because there was a point where I was on the couch and I just remember hearing my son go, "Daddy." And we watched Bluey, and on Bluey there's a thing when the dad pretends to be asleep, the daughters yell "Spider." So he's going, "Spider!"
Yes.
And I'm like, I'm awake.
Yeah, I was totally playing. That's the game I was
for
playing.
like 2 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Everything's fine though.
But otherwise, it was good. It was good. But you had a lot of traveling to do more than I did. So
yeah, but I don't know. There's I don't know about that. That is true, but there is like some alone time as well. So for me, it was mostly just that I didn't think I was going to get my COVID results back yet for my test.
Oh yeah, that's
like
right.
I was on the train leaving Rome, and I realized like it's been a little while here. Like I know that they can't get it like immediately. They didn't say it was going to be a rapid test. So I called them up and I was like, I don't have these results back. And they're like, oh, it looks like we didn't take your phone number, and it's a text like system. And so, which is supposed to be automated. Like there's not supposed to be eyes on it, I guess, or anything. And so they're like, okay, well you can come in and pick up your results. And I'm like, I'm at the train. I'm on, like I am 4 feet away from the tracks. And in a moment, this train is going to come. It's not going to care who gets on and who gets off. And it's just going to continue on. And this is my only opportunity to get out of the city and head back home. Yeah. And so, I had to sort of persuade them to email it to me. And I don't know if putting it out there in podcast form is good or not, because they're really not supposed to do that. They're like, please don't tell anybody. We're really not supposed to do this. And I'm like, thank you, because I need to get home. Not just like for many reasons, but primarily just so that, my wife doesn't leave me because I stayed an extra day or two. Like there's no way I could do that to her, It would be inconvenient. It would be expensive. It would be a lot of things. But the wrath of, I don't want to ever take advantage of how good Chelsea is to take care of the kids for that long, and to allow me to do this sort of thing. That was the first thing that ran through my mind.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree, because when even me leaving just with having one kid, it's still a big strain on my wife as well. And I'm just very fortunate that she lets me do that.
Yeah.
And then, the first year we did it, I had to do a lot of bargaining.
Yeah.
But this year I didn't have to, and it was great because
now it's
she
just
knows
a thing.
how important it is. Yeah.
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 Well, I'm glad you and Kevin joined the Phoenix Overdrive kind of effort. It's not exactly in your backyards. Like it's still a trek for you guys, and you could do other things. And so, now it's twice.
Yeah, we tried it last year, and it was nice to do PSVG together, but we weren't together. And I think that's the biggest part of that drive is the togetherness part.
Yeah. I mean, I was surprised to see you guys the first time, and I don't know why. Maybe it was just because you guys did it on your own last year that I was like, oh, you guys are coming back to this. Like that was really awesome. And I'm so glad that we get to do this tonight, because I didn't know at what point I was going to do this. But the one thing if nothing else, Josh, I just wanted to thank you once again for the overpowered stuff, man. Like, I don't know. Like, I know that it was probably like, oh, I've got these extra stuff and Sean probably likes this stuff and whatever. But like, it was like the sweetest thing, man. It was so nice. And I've told my parents about it, and I can't stop thinking about it. I'm not done sorting them, by the way. There's still work to be done, but it was so sweet for so many reasons. Like I don't know, that was such a pivotal time in my life. Like I have such fond memories of like that, like, I don't know, early 90s, mid 90s kind of thing. And just like opening those cards, like everything that comes along with it. Playing with my friends is one thing, but also, you know, we didn't have a ton of money to just like go buy stuff. So when my parents would take us to go to the shop and we would get like a booster pack or two, and it's like, holy crap, that was such a big deal. So then to have like be bestowed upon like this gigantic box of things, or even later in life to buy a box for myself and, you know, continue the collection. It just like, it brought it all back, man. So it was a very, very thoughtful gesture, and I really appreciate it.
Well, that's awesome. No, I'm glad you appreciate it. I knew you would, because I think it was like a year and a half ago on Twitch, you were doing something, and I was participating, but you were talking about Overpower, and I kept going like, dude, I want to send you these cards. Let me send you these cards.
They're heavy though.
Like, yeah, exactly. Yeah. So like, they've just been sitting in a box. I have behind my door over here, I have like 2 boxes full of the old Marvel collectible cards. Do you remember those?
Yep.
And like DC and Image cards, and my dad put them away in the basement along with like all of our figures and wrestling guys and stuff, and we went through them all, and I was blown away that Overpower was still in there, because I tried to recapture the magic of Overpower when they released that Versus system game, which is kind of similar to it, but not quite how I remember playing on my kitchen table with my neighbor and collecting all these cards. So I was like, and you were the first person I heard that really got it from people I talked to. And so I showed my wife, I was like, look, Sean went out of his way, even just to send me a little video on Twitter. And like, I was like, I'm so glad that like you appreciated it, because like really they either would have gone to like a hobby shop that would give me pennies, or they would have went away. And she's like, well, send them all the DC ones that you have. And I was like, well, if he wants them, I'll send them. So I have like all another half a box of DC ones.
I don't know what it is about collecting, or just, I don't know, like maybe it is the nostalgia part of it, but it's just some things click. And like, I wasn't into comics. Like this is my sort of like, I'm in a renaissance period with some of this stuff. Like I'm just I'm doing a lot of catch up, which is great, because, you know, especially when I think about like video games, as we've played all like many of the games that are, you know, foundational to our gaming experience, now we're just left to maybe once or twice a year play an older game. But for the most part, we're playing what's coming out and what's new, and some are great and some are stinkers. So it's a different space to be in than, let's say, somebody like, sometimes we get a question on the Nintendo Drive, like, I just got a Switch, what should I play? And it's like, holy crap. Like you can play all these things, like the culmination of the last 4 or 5 years or whatever it's been. And I feel the same way with comics right now. Like I've missed out on a bunch of stuff I got from the library. Got like this Infinity Gauntlet, which everybody knows the story of, but like this is just, I don't know, so cool. And I don't really have time for any of it, but here I am just like, you know, and I'm a step away from diving into anime at some point, or board games. Like you've got, like your collection is very impressive, by the way.
Well, that closet door behind me is also full of like 300 board games.
300, really?
300 more, yeah.
How many are behind you?
We don't have room.
Oh my God. That's the thing. Like that's not like comics or cards. Like those things take up serious space.
They take up a lot of space. Unfortunately, they kind of warp in humidity, so I always worry about summers. But yeah, comics has always been a big thing too, and I'm excited that you're getting into them. I'm excited to see the Fluxapose guys continue reading comics, because it's a new renaissance for comics, because like we've both lived through the life and death of comics and the rebirth of comics, and I know you're reading a bunch of stuff, and you can read Infinity Gauntlet, and you can read. There's so much more in it than you saw in the films, and
dude, like right at the beginning, I was like, it's not supposed to start like this. Like what the? And I can feel myself kind of convert into the person like, well, actually, in the comics, like they do it this way, and like, where's Silver Surfer? Like he's like, where is everybody?
Yeah, and Civil War, I think, for me was a pivotal change, because that's when I got back into comics. And it was actually a trial by fire with comics, because they really they put you into what comics are, and it's like, well, I'm curious, because I know Civil War is going to be a big thing.
Yeah.
But it's also saying like, you start reading Civil War #1, and at the end of it, it's like the story continues in Captain America number 368,
Yeah,
and I'm like, so I got to go buy that,
exactly.
and I got to go find that,
Mhm.
and you kind of have to have your finger on the pulse because those things.
Yeah.
They're not easy to find because everyone's doing that now.
Right.
So like it's really crazy. So the fact that you can get big like omnibuses like that is really nice now. Because for the collectors at that point, it was pretty hard to collect. Is that
fairly recent, the omnibus kind of thing? Like I'm just getting into it, so they're everywhere. I don't know. I mean, I feel like I've even like I've got the Todd McFarlane Spider-Man as I drop amiibos. No,
yeah.
Hopefully that one's okay. But this is like I don't know, at least a second or third print of this.
Yeah,
one, you know.
Yeah, and actually, like I was at the time where when I was getting comics, I collected every McFarlane individual Spawn because I was.
Did you really?
I mean, I was Spider-Man. Sorry.
Yeah.
Because I was so big into Spawn, and then someone was like, "Hey, did you know that he did Hulk and Spider-Man?" And I was like, "No, I have to own those." So I have his first Incredible Hulk. I have his.
I didn't know he did Hulk. Did he really?
Yeah, he did Hulk too.
Oh, damn it, man! I was like, I've got to get this. I've got to get there's a Venom, some sort of Venom omnibus. I've got to get my hands on as well. Like, oh my
McFarlane essentially created Black Suit Spider-Man. Or essentially drew the creation of Black Suit Spider-Man. So, and he created that iconic web design that was not typical for Spider-Man.
That's one of the cool, and that's what I'm loving about this. And I think that's what everybody who's been into comics the whole time, and really like anything. And I want to get into board games and stuff too, because I feel like there's the thing itself, which is enjoyable. But like me with pretty much everything, like I like going that next level. I like knowing who makes the video games. I like to know like where the story is there. Even wrestling for me was like, I like knowing that like Chris Jericho was from Winnipeg and like all the people who came out of, the Stampede Wrestling, like the dungeon and everything. Like I like knowing that next level. There's just too much. It's hard to keep up with everything. But understanding kind of even just where Image Comics came from is like a cool story that I'm uncovering as I go along. And just all these names that I'm like, now I'm pulling the thread just a little bit. I've got just enough. I've always been grasping at it, but I finally got just enough and go, okay, so I've got somewhat of a handle on like what Todd McFarlane did. I'm going to follow that for a little bit because he's Canadian, he's from here and everything, and you gotta support your own. And then I'm like, okay, well, what did Jim Lee do? I'm like, oh, okay, so
he did everything.
Yeah, honestly,
yeah.
I happened to be in the same room as him at San Diego Comic-Con, I think in 2017 or something like that. Didn't know who he was.
Wow.
Didn't know. He was just talking about like the future of DC. I'm like, don't know who this guy is. Don't know why I'm here. It was a We the Nerdy thing. Might have been 2015 even. Maybe an earlier.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah. So, but I'm in it, man. Like this is it. Now I just gotta, find a new podcast to do.
Right.
That's what I can't just read these things. I can't just like watch YouTube videos. I obviously have to podcast about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's another well to dip your pen in. Is that a good
I like it.
analogy? There's a lot of content for comic books too, and it's a great source of future pop culture and current storytelling. Like comics have evolved so much into like deep story. More than just Captain America fighting Nazis. Like it's a pretty big change now.
You think that? So I guess I'm a little unaware of like the Renaissance in comics in general. Like for me, I'm like, let's go back and figure things out. Are you saying like that it is it the movies that is doing this? Are they really coming back? Like what's going on there?
I mean, MCU helped a little bit. Comics really died literally at the death of Superman. And also at the invention of spin-off comics where people just felt like they couldn't keep up anymore. Yeah. Especially if they just wanted to read Superman. They're like, well, I don't want to have to follow 8 other comic series. Right. I just want to read this story. So
that's always how I felt. No matter, it obviously got to a point that people like kind of spun off of it. Pardon the pun. Yeah. But like it was always that was always the case for me. It didn't understand how to do that. So
yeah, and they kind of died out when these bad movies started coming out. I will say probably the start of like Batman Forever, that like era, like 1998 or something. They kind of died because we got the bad Fantastic Four movies, we got the bad Batman movies, and people just were like comic book sick. And it'll probably happen again. I think you kind of see it with what you call like people who would use quotes and then say filmmaker and then unquote. Like
Right.
they're sick of MCU. But we're also now in a world where we have Robert Kirkman and Brian K. Vaughan, these people who wrote Walking Dead and Outcast. Those are like Outcast is not only a probably a not well known Robert Kirkman comic, but it's probably even lesser known Robert Kirkman TV series that was on Cinemax.
Oh, wow.
That is about Patrick Fugit, the kid from Almost Famous, and dealing with exorcisms. And it's a horror show, and it's very good.
Oh, really?
But nobody knows about this. And the comic is very good, and it's scary, and it's dark. And you have like Saga that I know you picked up, like started, and The Boys, which is a comic I read 10 years ago, is now like one of the biggest shows ever.
No doubt.
Invincible is an animated show now, and Why the Last Man, and all this stuff. Like it's just everywhere now because they finally realized it's not just superheroes. Even the movie Red with Bruce Willis and Morgan Freeman is based on a comic, a DC comic.
Which one?
Red, where they're
oh yeah, dang, dude, that's
based on a comic.
Oh,
like,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, DC Vertigo comic. A lot of people don't know these things, and I think that's good because I think there's a certain like portion of people who wouldn't even go see it if they just kind of heard.
Yeah.
Oh, what? Wait, it's based on a comic? No, thank you. Even like we wouldn't have Hellboy, and we would have all these incredible films too. So yeah, you are
to
in
look
a
at
Hellboy
sorts. And not wonder if that's a comic. Like that's just like an obvious one.
I know, right?
Do you think that we'll ever get there with like video games, where it's just like, oh, because there's just such a huge, depth of video game stories to be told. I feel like they're trying to do that, but also like all those things that you just mentioned, I don't know if they were huge in comics, but I don't know if they were. Like it's not like they kind of led with like Red. It sounded like DC Vertigo. Is that what you said? Like.
Yeah, and also like R.I.P.D. with Ryan Reynolds and Jeff Bridges.
Right, so these are the biggest of comics. It's not like they're leading with Halo, or like you're going to know Halo comes from video games, even if you're not into video games, it transcends. So there's other things out there. I feel like there's other stories that have been told in video games that could shift on into movies. And I think that in order for it to make that transition and not have the video game stigma, you kind of have to go like, well, nobody knows it's a video game. But like, there's enough of a core there for the story to really shift over.
You have to separate yourself. You're like, I think the studios don't understand is that we will know it's a video game,
right?
So they don't have to market it as a video game,
right?
They just have to sell the movie. So I don't remember the trailer for Uncharted as far as like text, and I don't know if it says like based on the best-selling video game. It doesn't have to say that. I feel like they would do that anyways, but people are going to go see Uncharted and not know that.
The opening scene of the movie actually asks you to look up and then look down and then asks if your controls are if they're correct. That's the first. That's the opening scene.
And if it's blurry, take it out. Blow all over the place.
Drake asked
people
for a
will
hint
see Uncharted and not know that it's a video game movie. Like,
I think you might be right. Yeah,
they can judge that based off of. They're going to say, well, there's people who say it's a bad Indiana Jones. Yeah, people say they loved it. People are going to see The Last of Us on HBO and not realize it's based off of a video game.
That's true.
And I think that's where we're coming to is having, like, we got to separate the descriptors. And I don't, the problem is that studios aren't fans.
Yeah.
So they're trying to sell it in their minds the only way they know how to make money. But I don't know. I don't think with HBO we're going to have to worry about them pushing the video game as the premise.
Yeah.
It's just going to be a nice story, but that's a different experience than a film.
I feel like The Walking Dead, a lot of people would have been surprised to learn that it was a comic. Like probably one of the most popular things on the planet, at least at one point. I think some people might have been surprised to learn that thing is still going.
How much diverges from the comic.
Yeah, well, I think it's a Game of Thrones situation as well, right? Where they kind of had to. Like they went beyond where they were at the comics. I don't know enough.
A bit, yeah. They did decide in the early seasons to mess with some character deaths to keep people on their toes. I did largely follow the story, but it really, it's
Shane's
like
still around in the comic.
Yeah, he's around a lot longer, and more stuff happens to Rick than you would expect. So there's a lot that's
one that I would like to read. It's like it seems too much at this point. Like I think about the actual collection of it, and it's like,
yeah,
that would be like, I would need a shelving situation. Like, I mean, I guess I have one behind me, but like I would dedicate a giant volume of space here to just The Walking Dead.
Yeah, they have like 4 volumes out now, and they're about this thick.
They're
each.
big.
And I have 3 of them. I didn't get the 4th one yet. But the comics are, well, they couldn't do the comic on TV because of how dark and gritty the comic is.
That's saying a lot, because the TV show is dark and gritty, man.
Yeah, and there's a lot of more intense and different things that happen in that comic that they when I knew it was becoming a show, the first thing I thought was like, how are they going to do this one scene? And it's between the governor and Michonne, and it really solidifies the governor as like maybe the worst human being ever to live.
Yeah.
And they never really quite got to that in the show. And I know why, because people would be turned off.
Right.
And you wouldn't want to watch it anymore. So
again, like
I get that.
I gotta find out what that is. And I mean, like, even as I say the words, I don't think I want to get into The Walking Dead because it's too much. Like, there's too much there. I want to do it. Like, I totally want to. I like the style of it. I think just even Robert Kirkman, I think, is a fascinating dude. I think his journey would be one that I would like to kind of read more about and learn more about. I think just, where he's come from and what he ended, just the style too of, he just had this idea, and it would never have happened with like Marvel or DC. You know, he needed like an independent path to be able to just kind of go with it and really go to those kind of weird, dark places and do zombies because didn't he do zombies? Was that you who was just telling me this? He did zombies for like Marvel zombies?
He I didn't tell you that, but he did work as I don't want to say an expert, but he worked as like oversaw the creation of the series, and like they used him for like, would this person do this, and how would this person like,
oh wow.
Yeah. There's also a crazy story that I don't know if it's true or not, so I won't comment on that, but about how he originally intended ending The Walking Dead, which I'll let people look into. But he also
I want to know.
He's also the type of person who was like, he would always say like, I don't have an end for The Walking Dead, and then nobody knew, and then he just tweeted like, or posted like, next week is the last issue of Walking Dead, and people lost their minds because they're still just reading the series expecting it to go on, and all of a sudden he's like, hey, we're done, but he didn't get to the end he wanted.
Did he actually end it? Is it over? I don't even know if that.
Yeah, Walking Dead ended 2 years ago.
Okay.
He does a comic called Oblivion Song now, which is very good. I actually have autographed first issue of Oblivion Song from him.
Did you get him to sign it, or did you buy it from someone else?
No, I got it off a podcast. I won it off a podcast.
Oh, that's awesome.
Luckily. So I have that, and he's writing, what else is he writing right now? He's writing something else right now.
I feel like I just saw his name coming up on something else too. Yeah.
Yeah, he's still all over the place.
That's awesome, man. Like, there's just, and again, I don't know when we're supposed to do any of this stuff. Like, are you keeping up with what's falling behind as you kind of like, you've got all the podcasts, you've got the family. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's some of the more regrettable things that are falling behind as we all just try to keep up with life and everything?
Well, if we're to keep it on comics quickly, I was reading the Horizon comics that ended. It had a very short run, so I got all the variant covers and just to collect them all. And then I was like, I really should get back into comics because at our local store, you have a subscription box, and I was like, well, I subbed for Horizon, now I have nothing.
Yeah.
So I emailed them and I was like, hey, listen, I know King Spawn is coming out.
Yeah.
I want to get King Spawn, and I want to start a series in Marvel at #1 that you guys can tell me, like, I can start at 1 and it's going to run for a while.
Yeah.
So they hooked me up with Web of Spider-Man. So I have King Spawn and Web of Spider-Men, I think it's called.
Yeah.
To read, and they're just sitting on my bed, my nightstand. I haven't touched them. They're just sitting in the bag.
That's a great way to go about even just like calling up a comic shop and just like, you don't know what there is, and like but I like your criteria there. Like, I just wanted Marvel. I want something Marvel. I want something #1. Like, pop it in there and just go. I feel like sometimes it can be hard, especially for me who doesn't know I know just enough to make a fool out of myself, I think. but I don't generally know if I go into a comic store, go like, I ask like, what are you reading? You know, sometimes I'll talk about that, and that gives me some interesting things to look at. But otherwise, I wouldn't know how to start a single issue kind of subscription kind of thing.
Yeah, you just want to single out what you're interested in. And in a good comic shop, we'll give you, like, if you call and said like, hey, or went in and it was like, I don't want superhero, but I want an intriguing story. They'll put you onto something. They're really good with that. I don't know. As far as everything else, like this past Friday, the 12th of November, like 100 movies and TV shows dropped. And I was like, I don't know how to keep up with this.
Yeah.
I don't get too much time to watch. I'm either watching something or playing something, and that's it. And it's after work, the 1 to 3 hours before bedtime, depending on if I want to really lose sleep or not.
Ruin your next day. Totally.
Yeah. And then on top of that, I'd use my PS Plus subscription to get my 6 months of Apple TV. So now I have like 7 more shows I want to watch.
Dude, it's a huge reason why I haven't claimed that, actually. And it's I was just talking to Babbitt about this. Like, it's a huge reason I don't have a PS5. It's just to I don't even have the choice. Like, I don't even want to look at all the stuff on there. And every time I hear something's on like Apple Plus or whatever else, it's like, I immediately erase it from my mind. I can't think about it anymore because I have a huge amount of, I don't know, like people will call it FOMO. I don't know if I don't feel like I'm missing out on something. I just want to watch it. I don't know why in my mind it's different.
Yeah.
It's not always like that everybody else is talking about or everybody else is over there having a good time with this thing. I just like, well, that looks like something I would enjoy. I just want to experience it. I don't know. I just want to watch it.
Yeah, it's your interest level.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I started Mythic Quest because that was the first show I wanted to watch, which is about game design.
Yeah.
The Ubisoft
interesting.
Show. Well, actually, it's written by Charlie Day and Rob McElhenney from
Sunny.
It's Always Sunny.
Yeah.
So I expected that. I expected raunchiness, and I actually just recommended it on the show the other night because it's so much more. It's like heartfelt. It's funny. It has part episodes that don't even feel like they're part of the main show. In fact, my wife was like, is this the same show that we just watched an episode of 10 minutes ago? Because they 1 episode or 2 episodes a season, they take it in a different direction, and it's very like dramatic, and so far it's incredible. But
Mythic Quest, man, I should have. I literally had a pad of paper that I was like, I know I'm going to be getting some like thing. You're going to be dropping some stuff, and I just like.
Well, I'll just Discord you anything you want me to. Remind you of.
The thing is, though, I wouldn't be like very good at like the conversational side of this thing, because I'd just be like, Josh, can you say that again for a second? Can I just I just need to write this part down. I'm just gonna have to re-listen. But this is the one thing when I was listening to you guys do A Decade of Horror, and really anytime you get on the mic and then you just kind of like you and Lucas or Donnie or whoever it is, like you just like you lay down recommendations. And it's like, I'm such a person, people make fun of me. I like to have my lists. I want to have my to-do list or a Google Doc or something to go like, okay, that all sounds like a really good, or a wish list. Like put it all onto something I can check off later and pick up. But I'm going to have to like re-listen to this afterwards and basically do that myself. But I would want it in the show notes for people too.
Yeah,
it's not going to happen. People are checking the show notes now like, did he ever get to this? Like, no, that's... We're just talking about things that we would like to get to, and I am not putting it in the show notes.
The whole internet is just full of a bunch of dudes talking about what they want to watch and read.
Oh, I know. I know. It's so sad. It's so sad, right?
I mean, it's good. It's nice to get recommendations and stuff. I mostly kid, but I mean, that's kind of like, that's the running joke amongst podcasters is like self-deprecation. Like,
big time.
Like, no one likes to listen to this, and it's just a bunch of white dudes, and like, I'm like, it's not true, but it's funny to joke about.
No doubt. It's well, on the other side of it, that's the obvious, is that if we weren't, we would have maybe at least a little bit more time, at least an hour or a couple more hours a week if we just didn't podcast, but we feel compelled to we have to, consume the entertainment and then, jump on a call. But I don't know what it is. I'd love to have somebody kind of just do a little, I don't know, maybe Zach Erickson or somebody comes back from their work in psychotherapy and just like, what's going on? Why do we do this? Why do we have to, turn a hobby into our hobby? Or, why can't I just read this book? Dude, there's literally like books behind me that I'm like, I'm saving it for the pod. I'm waiting until I have time to podcast.
Well, you want to talk to
it.
people about what you're excited about. And that's like podcasting is my outlet. Like I can talk to my wife and about lots of things. And there's just some things that I know she's not interested in. She definitely holds things back from me that she knows I'm not interested in.
Mm-hmm.
She could use an outlet too. And like, if there's like a veterinary podcast, I should let her know about it.
Yeah.
But like, I hear people talk about it a lot, and I talked to Kyle, my co-host, or he's really the leader of the podcast. But we don't miss episodes every Sunday. I know, like clockwork. I get to talk to Kyle about what I did like enjoy doing, or I regret not getting to. Like, it's just a great outlet because it goes all the way back to word of mouth, right? Before the internet, when you saw a movie in the theater and you loved it and you have to tell your friends about it.
Yes.
And it's the same idea, except now everyone gets mad when you spoil something. So you have to say, like, I really like this nondescript movie for these nondescript reasons.
Well, I will say, if you look, and I haven't read a movie review in a long time for this reason, but I felt like for a while there, and I think maybe I might be calling IGN out on this. I stopped reading movie reviews on IGN because it was like, the movie was good. Here's exactly what happens. And it would kind of like lay out like well more than just what would be the trailer. It would just lay out the entire story. But there's definitely a fine balance of like, how do you tell somebody, especially movies or like story driven entertainment? Like games are different. You can talk about like the way it made you feel. You can talk about the like the mechanics of the game or whatever else. Like might be, or the art of it. I don't know. That can be harder to do, I guess, with movies. I don't know. But you guys do a good job of it in anytime you talk about movies, especially Decade of Horror.
Yeah, I mean, that's why we created Dollar Cinemas, because we wanted to be able to talk about movies, even current ones, spoiler full, but knowing that you're going into this like podcast adventure, knowing that we're going to spoil either this 20-year-old movie or this 2-month-old movie. It really depends on what we're covering. So, and I don't know, man. Like,
it's a different conversation, like, isn't it? When you can spoil things, it really is. It's totally different.
It drives me crazy. If someone spoils something for me, it really does drive me nuts, because I genuinely like going into a movie blind-ish. Trailers are one thing. Like, I just watched a Spider-Man trailer.
Yeah, same.
Looks great. They didn't show too much. They left enough for you to worry about, like to think about. But people like just jumping in Discord and not paying attention to or thinking about who's going to read this or like, I know people who don't care about spoilers, right? They either forget about them or they're still able to enjoy a film without spoilers, and that's great. I get it. I'm cool with that, because the movie shouldn't suffer based off of getting like a spoiler. Like you find out someone dies or something happens, but for me, like, I'm totally immersed. And people will say to me like, "Did you see that plot twist coming?" And I'm like, "No," and they're like, "I knew it right away." I'm like, "Okay, cool," but like, I was like in the movie. Like I wasn't trying to figure out what was going on.
You just called it a plot twist. So obviously you're acknowledging that this is, something that probably would catch me by surprise.
Just trying to experience it as they wanted me to. And I really enjoyed that. Like I enjoy the experience and or my naivety or whatever. But I enjoy it. And it is tough to navigate. And you said fear of missing out. And I think fear of spoilers is another draw to me wanting to watch everything. So, if it's something I really want to see, I'm like, I gotta watch it before it's spoiled.
I know that's been a huge, I mean, I haven't gone to the theater in a couple of years now, especially with COVID and everything, and kids make that a little bit tougher too. But definitely, there was a time where that was a huge motivating factor for me to go day one. Wasn't like so much, it was partially the excitement for the thing, but like more so, I just didn't want it ruined. So I would go at a time or at a place or with people that I'm like, otherwise, like the only reason I'm doing this is because I just don't want it spoiled. I'm making other sacrifices here.
Yeah.
It's funny. My Twitter timeline has been impacted by this because this is another, like, is it okay to spoil episode 7 at this point? Spoilers for episode 7 in just a second. So episode 7 was spoiled for me in a tweet that was so short that I couldn't unsee it. I couldn't like turn back. It wasn't like a lead up. It was Han dies. And it was just like, oh,
what an awful
I hope
headline.
it's not true. I hope it's not true, but I can't like, it was such a profound moment for me because I'm like, it actually felt like the words were coming off the screen. I could feel them going into my eyes and into my brain. I could feel them just like sinking in and establishing this is a memory I am not getting rid of. I'm not going to not know that thing. It was such a slow motion, but instantaneous thing that happened. And so the reason I'm telling you about this is because I then went and found a whole bunch of words that could be related to spoilers. They're now muted forever in my timeline. The word like dead or dies, which was related to that one tweet, that just turns out makes my timeline awesome. Like I don't have any death or anything on my timeline at all.
There you go. That's like the good Twitter.
Yeah, it has definitely helped. But are you, and I want to talk about it, but I don't want to like ruin the Spider-Man thing. But like, because there's a lot of leaks that are happening. Is this kind of what you're getting on? Like I don't know.
I would argue at this point, Spider-Man has been ruined for everybody.
I know.
And I did see a tweet. I don't know if it was from like Greg Miller or somebody, but they were like, "Can you imagine if none of the Spider-Man stuff was leaked and we all just went to the theater and we
thinking
saw
it was just a Spider-Man
these
movie.
people and we had no clue they were coming?"
Yeah,
it would have been a totally different movie.
It's honestly to the point where like they could just not do trailers for these things. You know, they could actually
like
just say there's right. Like but I live
no trailers. You just see the title of a movie and you go, okay, I'm intrigued. Sign me up.
Yeah, that's in Christmas. When does this movie come out? Is this on Christmas Day? This movie, this new Spider-Man one?
No, it's December 17th.
Okay, perfect, man. And I didn't think that I really needed more like comics in my life. I thought I was done with like these comic book movies especially. And I was very late to the game watching the Tom Holland, the new Spider-Man movies. And I am completely in love with this kid and this MJ so and oh my, especially like when you're just like, oh, it's MJ. Oh my gosh, I love it. Like didn't expect it. Didn't even that spoilers for damn Spider-Man, but I mean,
spoilers.
Really. Yeah, she's MJ. Didn't see that one coming. I just love it. And there's something special about Spider-Man. I don't know what it is. There's so many comic book characters. There's so many superheroes. There's something about Spidey that just like, I don't know, just gets me, man. Like I'm watching this.
When we started reading Spider-Man, he was a dumb kid and we were dumb kids at the same time. He was very relatable.
I don't know. It's there must be.
And he wasn't even a dumb kid. He was just like a dumb kid.
He's a nerd.
He's a very smart kid.
Yeah, he was just awkward, and it's the girl next door sort of thing, which is very relatable. And I don't know, like I think it's his design. It's I just think it's very. It shouldn't. It's better than it should be. He's a Spider-Man. That sounds like if you really just think about it, it's like that should be pretty lame, really. But he's quirky. Like I like the writing. He's very tragic as well. And I think that's because I'm trying to break down like why I get emotional when I watch Spider-Man or even see the trailer. I'm like, what is happening right now? Why is this? Why do I care this much? And I think that all comes to light. Like he's taken care of by his aunt, and he has this love of his life that and in different stories he will either be with her or he wants to be and can't, and even if he does he shouldn't, and all these things. It's like it's a great character, and you would just think that you would get that from everybody, and maybe other people get that from Doctor Strange or whoever, but for me it's Spider-Man, dude. It's just something else.
And not to spoil, I won't spoil anything from Civil War, but really what this movie is tackling is one of the biggest parts of Civil War, where spoilers for Civil War is where Spider-Man decides to reveal his identity as part of this Registration Act, and it really kind of tackles or this movie looks like it's going to try to tackle. This one, it's involuntary. It looks like based off the end of the last one, but what happens to his life because of that, and there's different things. There's something different and big that happens in Civil War that makes him do it, which I won't spoil. But it's going to bring a whole new depth to the character of Spider-Man 2. So we'll see how Tom Holland can handle like that acting, because it's going to be a different type of acting this time.
I think he can do anything, honestly. Like, I'm actually really looking forward to Uncharted for that reason. There's a lot of reasons why I don't really want to watch Uncharted. I think Marky Mark is just like, I mean, it's not a unique thought, but it's got to be the all-time worst casting for a character.
It's not a great cast for him.
No, like, and I love him. Like, I really enjoy him more than I probably should, but this isn't it. I don't think
the only I can see it is because they were like, we got to get 5 movies out of these guys, so we got to cast them like much younger than they're going to be.
But I don't know. I still can't place it. I can't place the timeline, like where they supposed to be in their lives. Like I don't know. Because we play, and the other thing is that we play the games, you know, so we have that bit of a snobbish, like actually in the book or actually in the game, it does this. And so maybe in the end, it doesn't really matter, but we've already kind of fallen in love with those characters in the movies. And I think it matters sometimes when you have that like translation from either game to movie or comic book to movie, like for them to look the part, I think is so important. And you got that with like Iron Man with Robert Downey Jr. It's just like, this dude is Iron Man. He always has been Iron Man. Like he's always, more appropriately Tony Stark. Like it just works. And that, I feel like that's what really helped the MCU is like everybody could see it. Like, oh yeah, it's totally this guy. Somehow Captain America is Human Torch all at the same time. Not really. I know, pull that
and
off.
They're okay with that. Which actually gets Chris Evans back into the MCU if he wants.
Dude, isn't that unreal? Oh man.
It won't happen, but it would be funny if that happened.
Is there a storyline or is there a character, like a comic? Like, is there something that is in comics that you would like to see? Maybe we'll keep it to like the MCU stuff. Like, who hasn't made it quite yet? Like, for me, it's like Silver Surfer. I know he had his moment, but like, come on, you got to do Silver Surfer a little bit better than that.
Well, they actually nailed Silver Surfer in those movies.
It's just
they
just
didn't do a great job with the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
Well, did you watch the Disney Plus shows?
No.
At all?
No.
Okay. So I will say this to you and anyone else who listens, like Disney Plus on Disney Plus Day, they released a bunch of little short videos, and one of them is for Marvel, and it highlights 2021 for Marvel on Disney Plus, which it goes over short arcs of all the shows they did. WandaVision, Falcon and Winter Soldier, Loki, What If, and then they show a preview of Hawkeye and then of the new shows. But this is what I'll say. They did something interesting with Disney Plus shows where they actually made them required viewing if you want to know what's going on next year.
Oh.
That being said, the show that hits hardest for that is Loki. Loki introduces a character that is going to be the most important character in the Marvel universe since Thanos.
Dude, like this is what I need to hear. Like this is actually how they. This is what needs to be in the marketing. Yeah. I just thought it was.
I don't want to spoil it, but this person will be responsible for introducing the Fantastic Four and the X-Men next year.
Oh, what?
And if I said more, it would be considered a spoiler. But it's not a secret that Fantastic Four and X-Men are now properties of Disney,
right? Because the Fox thing.
And they are working on the Fantastic Four, and they are working on X-Men.
Does this person have a medical degree? I don't know if this person that is as big as Thanos.
This person is a convoluted mess in the history of Marvel Comics.
Interesting. Oh, it's fascinating.
But he's introduced at the end of the Loki series, which is incredible, by the way. I think just the last episode. I could say who it was, and then people would know. I want people to.
No, I like this game. This is super fun for me, actually. And I have actually looked at that whole slew of content that you just rattled off, and I was like, I'm good without it. And you just got me into it, big time, dude.
Well, if you just watch that, it's like 15 minutes. Go on Disney Plus, find, it's under like the new stuff. Find the Marvel Disney Plus Day stuff. It's like a 15-minute video They literally take you through all the beats of the shows, because my dad's big into the Marvel stuff now, but he started watching WandaVision, and what I thought, because they do it by every episode is a different decade of television.
Right.
I thought like he's gonna love it because it's like I Love Lucy and Dick Van Dyke and Malcolm in the Middle. Like it's so bizarre, but that's the stuff my dad loves. And he's like, I couldn't get into it. Oh. And I'm like, oh man. I was like, that's okay. But WandaVision introduces Sword. Captain America and the Winter Soldier introduces the new Captain America and Thunderbolts. Loki introduces this guy person that I don't want to say. There's so much going on. I was actually blown away with how much they decided to invest in these shows, knowing that a lot of people weren't going to watch them, and how actually integral they're making them to Phase 4 of the MCU.
That's true comics, though, isn't it? Where it's just like, this is what you're talking about.
We talked about. Yeah. You have to watch all these things to understand what's going on, or you got to go to YouTube.
Well, the fact that they even have the thing, like, this is what you need to watch in order to like be ready for, like, this is your prerequisite list. It's like a curriculum of some sort. Like you need to. Oh my gosh. Oh,
they're smart about it. But if I could say, if you watch one, you got to watch Loki. That's the one to watch.
Is it? Oh, that's so funny.
And it really it works with multiverse.
Yeah.
Which really supports the Spider-Man movie and the Doctor Strange movie coming out, directed by Sam Raimi, out of all people.
That's crazy.
Like, there's so much going on. But I would say watch the 15-minute video. They also show a trailer for Moon Knight, which is one of my favorite Marvel superheroes ever, played by Oscar Isaac. Yeah, which I couldn't be more thrilled about.
Dude, you just needed to get him in there somewhere.
They show a trailer for She-Hulk too.
Oh, that's right. Whatever,
with,
like
Tatiana Maslany.
Oh,
from Orphan Black.
I mean, Oscar Isaac, you just need to get in there somewhere. Like some character, just pick one. Doesn't matter. Yeah, just like get him in this thing.
They picked perfect casting for this character too.
Oh, that's amazing, dude. It's
someone who's possessed by an Egyptian god, a human being possessed by an Egyptian god.
Who was who played Apocalypse? Do you remember who played in the X-Men?
It was Oscar Isaac.
That's what I was thinking. I thought that he was already in here somewhere.
Also Moon Knight.
Oh my gosh, what a terrible movie! It was on like. It
TV. Was so bad.
It was on TV the other day. I think I was at my parents' house and they flipped it on. It was just like, oh god, it's just awful.
They ruined a great, like, the X-Men Origins. The first two films are fantastic, and then they had to jump in with Apocalypse. It was a nightmare.
Man, they had something so good. Oh my gosh,
I didn't even see Phoenix because of how bad.
Why do have they done like that Phoenix story like twice? Like they've tried.
They did. It? Yes, they did it in X-Men Last Stand, and they did it in that movie.
Third movies. And like that was like for me too, like again, not being huge into comics, but having Overpower, so I recognize a lot of the characters from there, and then the TV show, of course.
Yes. Which is coming back.
Yes,
Disney Plus.
Dude. Like the 97. It's like it's just a continuation. Like
they're just gonna pick right up with same animation, same story.
It's so good. Like this is man, this is what you need to like tell people. Like if you're ever going through a rough time, if you're in a dark place, you just got to know that in 20 or 30 years, all your favorite stuff is gonna come back. And it's going to be amazing and bigger and better than ever. And it will give you so much joy in life. You got to stick around for that. I literally,
before we recorded, watched 3 hours of G4's launch. So I understand.
Oh, did you really?
The nostalgia of things from our past.
Oh my God, it's coming powerful.
Back. Because I'm just watching this going, it's coming back. 3 hour special for the launch. I can't wait.
How do you decide then? Because I'm definitely, as we talk through this, I'm realizing that there's a bit of a theme for me in that I sometimes will see or hear something for the first time and go, I'm not into it. And then later I come back and go, what was I thinking? And one example of that was like System of a Down and a lot of that like more heavy rock music in like in the early 2000s. I remember hearing it for the first time going like, this is absolute trash. And it ultimately became some of my favorite music, some of my favorite bands ever. And I feel like that's the case a lot with a lot of entertainment where I will see it and go, I'm not into it, and then come back later and it becomes my favorite thing ever. And the recent Spider-Man movies are examples of this. How do you like especially with so much going on, how do you look at the onslaught of content coming in from Disney Plus and go, yeah, I've got time for this, and I'm going to get into it and just go, I don't know, like I judge afterwards. I'm like, let's see how this turns out, and then maybe I'll talk to Josh on We the Gamercast, and he'll convince me to catch up on this stuff. I'm not saying my way is better, but
no, your way is good. I think I kind of rely on that to a degree. If it's something I'm passionate about, I will just jump in.
Yeah,
without question. But I mean, a lot of it's still based on word of mouth, and I've definitely not watched shows because I didn't think I was like. So this past week we had a board game designer on our show on the board of video games, and he was like, at the end of our show we do suggestions for a well-rounded life, where we recommend something that isn't video game related. And typically Kyle and I default to like movies, or sometimes we'll go like take a walk with your kid or something. But he had recommended Arcane on Netflix, and I was like, okay, I know what it is. It's a League of Legends anime. It's in my interest level, but it's like at the F level. Like if we're, starting from A at the top. So I'm like, maybe I'll get around to it. And he was like, not only did I watch this show, I watched the first episode 4 times. I watched the second episode 3 times. And I plan on watching the third episode again after we record tonight.
Wow.
He's like, I suggest you stop recording now and go watch the show. And I was like, well, we're not going to do that. But as soon as the show ended, I popped it on. It was past my bedtime, my self-described bedtime. And I watched the first episode. It was fantastic. It was a technical achievement in animation that like I've never seen before.
Yeah.
And the story was interesting. So like in that situation, I'm glad I jumped into that, but it doesn't always work out that way.
Yeah, but there is something special about a recommendation, especially from somebody who you come to learn to trust. And I think I don't know. I feel like sometimes video games can be harder, maybe. But sometimes some of us will find that person, they recommend something, you're like, you never miss. And I feel like there's something really awesome about that, I feel like pretty much everything you're laying down here, I'm like, I got to go check all this stuff out. And when I went to the comic store a couple of months ago, there was a guy there who told me all the things that he was reading. And I'm like, and I bought all of them. And I'm like, this is all awesome. Like, I want to talk to that dude again. That's amazing. Like, he just crushed it. I think there's something very special about I don't know where to do. I don't know what's next. And for somebody else to go, you need to go do that without over celebrating it. Because that can be hard to do as well.
There's also a terrifying feeling to it too, because you're also putting yourself out there and telling people what you're either passionate about or what you really enjoy. And then, it happens all the time. Like, thank God we had 3 people on Decade of Horror, because all 3 of us had different tastes in horror movies. And sometimes to a crazy varying degree, and sometimes just very close. But when you do stuff like that too, you put yourself out there for people to disagree with you. But you're also like, did I waste someone's 10 minutes